Hello, welcome to the Whisky Critic for another whisky review. My name's Mark, I am the Whisky Critic, and today we're going to be looking at the English Whisky Company Original. It's a new expression that they released in 2016, and they've had a bit of a change from their labelling and their the kind of market they look like they're going for. So we'll talk a bit more about the bottle and the box in a minute, but I'm just going to pour a drop. As with all whiskies over 40%, this one's 43%, we need to give it a bit of time to open up the flavour. And as on my last review, whiskies that are over 40%, we're going to add a little drop of water. I recommend that you try it both with and without. I've already had a sample of this whisky without water, and it needs a tiny little drop there. So whilst that's opening up, going to have a little chat about their new packaging, and this is the box that the whiskey comes in. It's very different from their last packaging. You'll see that on my last video, and it's what can I say about it? Really, it looks like it's going for a more international market. It's a fairly premium whiskey, and it displays that with this new packaging, I think. So this is called the Original. It proudly features that it's non-chill filtered whiskey, which is, good news to the connoisseur, or the whiskey drinker that really appreciates their whiskey. The only thing that this lacks, both on the box and on the bottle, which is a bit of a shame, is there is no age statement on the whiskey. As with their previous expressions, the English Whisky Company hasn't implicitly put a age statement on, but what they have given you is the date at which it was put into the cask, and so you can gather from that how old the whiskey is. They've moved away from that, which is a bit of a shame, actually. A lot of whiskey distilleries are doing this now, saving age statements for their more premium bottles, whereas before, age statements were on all whiskies. It wasn't a legal requirement, but it was part of the packaging of a whiskey. Unfortunately, most distillers now are moving away from age statements. It allows them to, when they do bring out a bottle with an age statement, to add a few extra pounds onto the bottle. But as most distillers are moving away from it, we're not going to take too many stars off the bottle for that. What I will say about English whisky in general is it's really, really hitting a sort of golden era at the moment. Up until the St Georges Distillery opened their distillery back in 2006, there had been no whisky distilleries in England for over 100 years. So they were the first. And now we're in 2017. We have obviously St Georges Distillery. We have another one in the Lake District, the Lakes Distillery. That should be open, it's open, but it should be producing its first bottle, I believe, next year. We have a distillery in the Cotswolds, which should have its first batch maturing in around October time. We also have a couple of breweries that are now making whiskies, and there I'm going to be reviewing Adnam's whiskey next. So English whiskey is really on the up. I mean, whiskey in general is hitting a bit of a golden age, but in particular whiskey, I think by the end of next year we're going to have sort of 6 distilleries in England. So it's really is a big market at the moment. So let's get into tasting this whiskey. So like I say, it's the Original. It's unpeated. It's bottled at 43%, and it's a lot less than their last bottlings, normally around the 46%. So let's give it a nose. It's a very sweet whiskey, very vanilla-y on the nose, very fruity nose as well. A mixture of dried fruits and tropical fruits. I can definitely get an undertone of lemons and oranges in there. It's a very complex whiskey, very complex whiskey. And I want to say a hint of milk chocolate. Right, let's see what it's like on the palate. So it's an unusual thing to say about a whiskey, but I actually find this a very refreshing taste. The fresh fruit is really predominant, as is the vanilla. And the tasting notes for the whiskey is that it's almost it is like a vanilla-y ice cream, and I definitely get that. There's definitely a very creamy feel to this whiskey, quite viscous as well, so full-bodied. And even after adding some water, it's got a very good full body to it. And the chocolate in the development is quite predominant. Not so much in the finish. The finish is lovely and long, not too dry, but I'm still getting flavours coming through now. It's a really nice, really complex whiskey, and it tastes very different from their previous expressions. I can't quite put my finger on what the difference is. Like I say, it's a very fresh tasting whiskey. So it's almost like on a summer's day when you're drinking your Pimm's and your Sangria. This wouldn't actually be out of place with that. So, it's really nice. I really enjoy this whiskey. I mean, the English Whisky Company, I've never tasted a bad whiskey from the distillery at all. But this is certainly very different in a nice way. Very, very nice. I'm really enjoying it. Yes, okay, so it doesn't have an age statement. That's not so great. But other than that, it's a really enjoyable whiskey. Highly recommend you go and purchase this one. I bought this from the distillery itself. It was about £35. And well worth every penny, and I would definitely give this whiskey 4 stars. If you want to know a bit more about my star rating, there is a document on Facebook which you can go and follow me on. You can also follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my YouTube channel at the Whisky Critic. So until next time, cheers.